I'd like to call to order the Mayor and Council meeting for the Borough of Maywood for the work session of September 10, 2019, to order at 7:32 p.m.
Everyone join me in saluting the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On January 3, 2019, adequate notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Act had been furnished by inclusion thereof in the annual schedule of meeting for 2019, which has been posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, filed with the Borough Clerk, faxed to Our Town, The Record, and the Community News newspapers, and distributed to all persons, if any, requesting copies of same pursuant to said act. In the case of an emergency or fire alarm, you must evacuate the building by using any of the exit doors in the room. They are immediately to my right and the double doors at the rear of the room. Occupants must exit the building by using the staircase and not the elevator. This meeting is being recorded by both video and audio and may be rebroadcasted.
Roll call.
On roll call, Mayor Fabray.
Here.
Council members Bennon.
Here.
Bowling.
Here.
Allman.
Here.
Trevino is absent. Lindenau.
Present.
Garofalo.
Here.
Borough Attorney Brian Eierman.
Here.
Borough Administrator Roberta Stern.
Here.
Borough Clerk Barbara Discoto here. We have a quorum.
All right. Mr. Twiniak, come on up for your monthly report, please.
Honorable Mayor and Council, we issued an engineer's report dated the 4th for tonight's meeting, and I'll briefly go through each of the individual topics. The first is the Maywood Avenue Streetscape Phase 2. Construction had halted due to the paving of Maywood Avenue, and now it's ongoing. The streetscape itself, which includes the hardscape, is anticipated to be completed within a week. That would include restoring next week the other side of the roadway, where it's the differentiation of color of the concrete. Thereafter, the lighting and the amenities would be installed, and then the project would be completed. The next item on the list is the Palmer Avenue, West Passaic Street roadway crossing with the bus stop, and which was a community development block grant, and then Palmer Avenue, the DOT municipal aid grant. Our office has filed paperwork with both the state and also the county to permit the borough to receive the remainder of its grant funding back. The next item on the list is the 2019 road improvement program. A pre-construction meeting for that project occurred on September 5th. Construction is to proceed next week on Spring Valley Ave and Spring Valley Road. So that intersection and also the two lanes traveling eastbound could be completed prior to the holiday shopping season. The next item on the list would be Gulf Avenue from Romaine to East Passaic Street, which is the 2019 municipal aid grant that the borough received. The bid opening occurred on September 5th. The following day, our office issued a recommendation package, and I understand a resolution for award is on for tonight's agenda for consideration by the governing body. The next item on the list is for quote solicitation for Spring Valley Avenue and the settlement. The contractor has informed us actually today that work's going to proceed Monday when the roadway improvement project occurs on Spring Valley, so you have those two items picking up and being addressed at that time. And then the final item on the list is the Spring Valley Avenue, the roadway corridor traffic study, which the governing body had requested our office to issue, which we did. So it relates to determine the impacts of a roadway diet in accordance with complete streets, and that includes the potential shared idea of having a center line, left-right turn lane, and then a lane traveling one lane eastbound, one lane westbound, and then also a dedicated bike lane. And what we would do is we would study the vehicles and number of vehicles traveling the roadways, study the intersections, count pedestrians, count bicycles, and determine how that would impact Spring Valley, and then also the adjoining roadway network to see how it would impact the surrounding neighborhoods. That was issued to the governing body for review and consideration. We'd be glad to discuss the proposal or proceed with the work if the governing body would like us to do so. That concludes our report. Be glad to address any questions or comments, though.
Questions?
I do have some questions about Spring Valley, West Spring Valley Avenue. So part of our roadway improvement plan this year is just one lane of West Spring Valley Avenue, correct, from Lincoln to Spring Valley
Well,
Road?
It's actually half the roadway. It's one half. It's because the way it would work and we envisioned it when we prepared the construction documents is that some of the potholing spans some of into the I guess the northern west eastbound lane. So what we didn't want to do is just take a saw cut line and then keep a secondary pothole remaining. So we looked at doing one half of the roadway so that you could address that.
Okay, so it's going to be the two eastbound lanes?
Correct.
Those were the worst, with the worst potholes that we had been fixing all through the season, so that's why we decided to do it that way.
That's fine. As part of that, you had talked about that part of the consideration that you make when you're doing the plans is also complete streets. So did you do, I had asked you this before, and you had said yes, so would you be able to roll some of that into this plan, the roadway corridor traffic study, since you've basically already done some of that? Was that taken into consideration when you give us the quote for the traffic study?
Well, when we look at complete streets, we look at what it is as a whole. We didn't calculate or perform any of the analysis as it relates to how it would impact the adjoining roadway networks, how it would impact the roadway system in reducing those lanes.
And Roberta, I think I don't remember the last meeting if you were going to speak with Chief about putting cones up and the possibility of doing something like that, if we had talked to him about that idea?
Well, unfortunately, we've had some personnel issues in the police department, so that did not happen.
Okay.
But what I did do is I reached out to the mayor of Paramus to see if, in fact, there was any consideration on their end to continue this up to Farview, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet.
Okay.
I know somebody had mentioned that they would reach out to the Hackensack side, but we did say that that's much narrower than the portion from Forest going west. And in looking at some of the old bike path work that the county had done, Spring Valley was never in their consideration because it didn't connect. They had been looking at Maywood Ave originally, and that plan kind of fizzled. This was about 4 years ago. But I have not heard back from the mayor to see if, Paramus would be interested in continuing any bike lanes through their town up to Farview.
Okay.
That's a steep hill.
Sorry?
That's a steep hill out of it too. And that, it's not easy.
No, it wasn't me. Oh, all right.
I'm not that funny.
They take funny out of you.
I just think it's something that we have to continue looking at and see which pieces fit to make it, work.
Yeah, I think, if we could, I don't know if as part of this study, if we could set up the cones and have it look, because it's hard to study bikes and pedestrians when it's not set up right now for bikes and pedestrians. It's set up for cars to go 45 miles per hour. I was driving on it just the other day, and I will admit that the sign started to flash at me at 31 miles per hour. And I'm very mindful of the way that I'm driving on West Spring Valley because I know it's not designed to go 25 miles per hour, that road. So we just, I think it's worth talking to Chief, maybe Rich if you want to talk to him, or I could certainly do it if you need me to talk to him about the possibility of putting cones out there and kind of setting it up. I'm not sure what weekend would be the best or week to do it, to test it out, but it just, I know it works, the road diet. We don't have to do bike lanes, we don't have to do all the other stuff, I'm just saying that the idea of a 3-lane span versus a 4-lane span works. There's been a million studies about it. The fact that Forest Avenue and Maywood Avenue are are still 4 lanes in some places is a travesty. That's why you see all those accidents in Paramus.
Yeah.
My father actually got into an accident on Forest Avenue and East Ridgewood. So, you know, there's actually no difference between the speed that people can go if you have 3 lanes versus 4 lanes, because the middle lane becomes your turn lane, and the other lane is just your traffic lane, so people go straight. So there's no stopping, there's no people jumping the red light like we all do in New Jersey as soon as it turns green to go left. Don't say you don't do that, Roberta.
No. Because I don't trust the people going the other way. That's the reason I don't jump the light.
But, you know, people have to look around the car. There have been studies about it, so I think we need to figure out how to do it, whether we spend $22,000 on a traffic study without actually, you know, that's not, if we studied the traffic there, we're not studying the way it will be, we're studying the way it is.
No, we would study it the way it will be, and then there's models and analysis, there's computerized programs that we utilize. It's Synchro is what it's called, and we input all the counts and all the data at all the intersections, and then based on the information that you have today, you then create a model with the roadway that you anticipate, and then it will illustrate how that will affect the counts at each of the turns, and then assign a level of service as it relates to it, or the delays at each location, and the anticipated rerouting of the traffic, so that we can present that to you and give you that information.
Right, but that's all car-centric and not pedestrian and bike-centric.
Who's the traffic engineer?
It would be Brian Insadol of our office, the Director of Traffic Engineering in our office.
I just think that we have to decide there are 2 different things involved. The one idea of the 3 lanes with the turning lane is a little bit different than creating the bike lanes, only because if the bike lanes aren't going anywhere, then what are we accomplishing? So I think that we have to focus, whatever you decide to do, on one or the other. I would still like to see, you know, information from an adjoining town, because otherwise, where is that bike lane going? You're going into another...
It goes the whole length of the town, the whole width of the town, and it goes to the Bergen Town Center.
No, I said, but then where do they go when they get to
That would be
the
determined.
intersection with
Spring Valley
Farview?
would be determined.
No, I know, but all I'm saying is...
I know what you're saying.
I just
Yeah,
think
it
we
doesn't
should
go any further,
look at
but
them
I just-
separately and see which way we want to go before we authorize any of the studies. And I will go into the other detail a little bit later in closed session regarding whether or not we should do the cones.
Greg,
Sure.
correct me if I'm wrong, you also do input pedestrian data in there as well?
Oh, we will gather all that information. I know governing body may have some questions as it relates to the cost, but there's substantial time that needs to be spent at a series of intersections, counting that traffic, counting the ways the traffic moves, and also counting the pedestrians. And I know there's limited bike traffic at this stage as it relates to the roadway and the speed that occurs, but we will gather that information too.
Greg, if I could just add my two
Sure.
cents. I certainly appreciate that models are really the way we analyze things, what we have
Yeah.
people to do in the real world. I have to agree with Councilman Ruffalo. If you really think that studying what's there and then imposing a model to suggest what might happen, in my mind, doesn't really study what would happen, because I don't think you can predict the way people always react. I do like the idea of maybe creating a bike lane or a block so that we can look at that. And it's probably for me because, and I'm also going to see with the council agrees, I really think we're going to ask the police department to be much more aggressive on people who go on these crosswalks. I was on the State Street today, and there was a family of people. There were 4 people trying to cross the street, and not one. And the guy stepped into the crosswalk. Not one person even slowed down, and it was amazing to watch this. You know, you couldn't miss it. I think we really need to be much more aggressive. People are using Passaic and Central as just a pass through the town, without even looking at what they're doing. So I'm going to ask the chief if he can be more aggressive. But I really want to speak on supporting what the councilman said.
Is there a mechanism to do that? Like, it doesn't sound like a horrible idea, just...
No, I agree.
Is there a mechanism, are there cones narrow enough so where they're not impinging on any lanes, and it's not making it
Yeah.
smaller, and they will stand up and won't get knocked down?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the police department's equipment is and their capabilities as it relates to it, but I think,
Greg, what have you seen in your field?
No, I agree that any time you can do a real-world experiment is a good idea, because what it does do is it does show in real time what's occurring. The only question or issue that may occur is that the traveling public may not be aware of the coning of the center lane, what that means or doesn't mean, just because there isn't. Unless there's police there or something, it might be confusing. It might be confusing for people. That would be the only thing I would say as it relates to that real-world experiment. But anytime you can do real-world is always better. I agree, though.
I think before we even broach that, we have to ask the traffic. We have to ask the police department. We have to ask the chief. We have to ask the traffic officer if that's even feasible, because that probably comes within itself. Requirement to have extra police officers over there, just at least in the very beginning, something, because if somebody knocks over the cones, you got to pick them up, otherwise you got mayhem. I mean, there'll be a whole host of things. I agree that nothing would be more informative than actually seeing what's
Correct.
going on, but we just have to make sure that that's feasible and doable and not going to cause a if it can be done, I think that would probably be the coolest way to find out.
I agree. If it's possible, I agree. The real world is always better.
Yeah. Questions? Any other questions? Okay, Greg, you want to stick
Sure,
around
be glad
a little
to.
bit?
Thanks, Greg.
All right, at this point, I'd like to open the meeting to the public. Is there anyone from the public who should be heard? Please come on up, sir, state your name and address.
Good evening. Lou Borough, Maywood Avenue. On the subject you've just been talking about, does the study take into consideration that most traffic, pedestrian and/or bicycle take place from Memorial Day to Labor Day? That's the peak season for people using bicycles and the pedestrians. Secondly, will you be taking into consideration the fact that if there's inclement weather, will you not do a survey that day because the inclemency will skew your numbers way off the actual target? Thank you.
Thank you. Greg, if you want my answer.
Sure, I'd be glad to. As it relates to when we would perform traffic counts, we would perform traffic counts when school was in session. So the Memorial Day to Labor Day would not be worthwhile with respect to performing vehicular counts, because you have an odd traffic pattern where vehicles are not traveling, less people go to work and change their hours potentially. So you would see the difference in what the trip generation as it relates to the uses in the area are. I do agree that as it relates to bicycle traffic, you do see a slight fluctuation when the weather is better. I mean, you would expect so. But at this time of year, I don't think you would see that dramatic a change compared to between Memorial Day and Labor Day. But as you were to get into the winter months, it'd be pretty obvious you'd see a reduction in bicycle traffic.
Sir, what was your other question?
Inclement weather, we would gather the information. We would also hope to have a day of inclement weather during our study to illustrate and to determine what the differences would be with respect to the traffic patterns during inclement weather. So we'd want to capture good weather and inclement weather to compare the two and work it through the model.
Excellent. Sorry, that answered your question now. Thank you. Yes, please come on.
Hi, Joan Rivera, 57 Parkway. How are you? I just want some clarity on this bike lane. It's going to go from Spring Valley to Maywood Avenue?
I mean, there hasn't been an official anything yet. It would go
But that's
from
what you're
Spring
looking to
Valley-
do?
Well, I don't know. It could go all the way to the border of Hackensack. Ultimately, I'd like it would be awesome to have a unified bike lane between Hackensack all the way down to Main Street up to Spring Valley Road.
Right, okay, but then you have to get Hackensack involved, and what about Paramus?
That's Roberta said
I've reached out to
Yeah.
the Paramus side, but I haven't heard back from the mayor about whether he's discussing it and waiting until he gets...
So if neither one want to come in on this, you still want to go forward with this?
If
And to
the
what
right
end?
thing- if it's the right thing for the town and we can have people that use bikes on West Spring Valley Avenue safely and we can increase bike traffic there, absolutely.
I think you're looking to open up a whole bag of worms.
Okay.
New York City just had its 20th so far this year bike death.
Right, and that's
People
partially
are
because of an
irresponsible
increase-
now, and
that's
you're just
partially because
looking-
of an increase in biking in New York City.
Say that again?
It's partially because of an increase in the number of bicyclists in New York City.
Okay. Still 20. You're just opening up a bag of worms.
I mean, we had one here without bike lanes, just a couple-
You've had more than one on Spring Valley.
I know, and that's what
Yeah.
we're trying to fix.
But
That's what
you're
we're trying to
putting
fix.
more into it, is my point.
The more you
Two
put on
people
the
have
street,
died on Spring
more
Valley
you put on the
without
street,
bike lanes.
Greg, the more you put on the street, do you not then slow traffic? If there
In
are
a
more-
perfect world, obviously, we don't live in a perfect world if they're doing 40.
I understand that, but can you do 40 miles per hour on Pleasant Avenue?
You just said that they were doing 40 miles an hour in Spring Valley.
Of course you can, it's built like a highway.
Yeah, Councilman, with the way the roadway is constructed, it is conducive to higher speeds, and we've seen that, and we've all witnessed it. If you do a road diet, by the use of the word diet and using the complete,
I like that,
and the complete streets thought process, what that will do is reduce speeds on roadways.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anyone else from the public wishing to be heard? Okay, seeing none, closing to the public. Ordinances, public hearing on pending ordinances and adoption of.
We have ordinance 17-19, an ordinance to amend Chapter 201 of the Maywood Code entitled "Which Governs the Special Improvement District of the Borough," so as to provide for regulations for empty storefronts.
All right, at this point, I'd like to open the meeting to the public with regard to ordinance number 17-19. Is there anyone having any questions or comments with regard to that? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion for the adoption.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
On roll call, Bennon?
Yes.
Bolin?
Yes.
Ullman?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Garofalo.
Yes.
Motion carries. Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood that ordinance 17-19 be and is hereby passed upon second and final reading, and that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to advertise the same according to law.
Okay, approval of minutes. Is there a motion for the approval of the July 23rd, 2019 council meeting in closed session and the August 13th, 2019 work session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
On roll call, Bennon?
Yes.
Bolin?
Yes.
Ullman?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Garofalo.
Abstain, I was absent from that meeting.
On the 23rd?
The 23rd, and a yes to August 13th, sorry.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay. Correspondence and report of the Borough Clerk.
Okay, I forwarded a letter to the council from Betty Fetzer regarding all access, so that you can review it and give consideration to any of those suggestions by her. And just to let everybody know that coming down the pike, it looks like 2 of our pocketed liquor licenses are going to be transferred soon, eventually start being used again. And progress.
Congress.
Good. That's really good.
Thank you. Report of the administrator.
Mayor,
Good.
yesterday, Gary Newman and myself met with representatives of Public Service, Electric and Gas regarding the improvements at the substation. They're going to be clearing the site pretty quickly. As you also see later on today, they're amending the lease because they'll be using more of the spots at the pool parking lot. We already received the first check for September. Part of the work that they're doing on the substation, which was something new when we were meeting with them, on Eccleston, as they go across Central Ave to Eccleston, there's location of 2 new poles that will be conducting the new electricity across. But in doing this new substation, they will also be installing new KV 69 poles from the substation on the north side of the street on Central all the way to Maywood Ave.
For those with giant poles?
Yes.
Okay.
Then, as part of this, they are also going to be going up Eccleston with 3 new poles. One's going to remain, 3 are going to become KV 69, and then Magnolia west to Maywood will also be getting 69 KV poles. We're working with Verizon to make sure that the double poles don't stay there as long as they've had in the past. They are also replenishing quite a number of trees for the borough. They're actually doing some tree removal. We have some ash trees, which, as you know, carry this new, or an old bug, but it's destroying ash trees. So they will be removing those trees on Eccleston as part of the project. And also, the town will be getting a number of new trees as part of this. All the new landscaping that they did 2 years ago in front of the substation is being removed. Obviously, will be replaced later on, but they were going to give us those trees, but instead of uprooting the ones that were there and trying to preserve them, they're going to give us all new trees. So we're talking about 14 hollies, I don't remember how many used, maybe 10 or 12 of those, 4 new dogwoods, and a bunch of other tree work that they're doing around town as part of this project. Mr. Newman is meeting with their arborist on Friday to identify other areas where PSE&G needs to cut or trim that they've been a little lax on, and they've agreed to do some of that as part of this project. So we'll get a lot more work done than we had before. I think that's basically it as far as that project is concerned, and that's the latest news.
Thanks, Barbara. Committee reports. Councilperson Ben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things. At the end of the year, obviously, let people close in their pools. We talked about mosquitoes, to ensure that you cover the pool securely, you don't have water to prevent mosquitoes. There's some sort of tips coming from our building department. This is not a tip, but a suggestion. It's Tropical Hut. Remember, it's open. If you haven't gone, go visit Tropical Hut. We were just at the grand opening of Pleasant Ave Dental and Use Your Word this weekend, the grand opening. It's very nice. So stop by and say hello, which is great, to new businesses, female businesses, residents. So go on down and check that out. If you have any questions, I know people ask a lot, they're unsure. I have the same thing, so I call and ask. If you're unsure about a permit that you need, call the building department. Better for them to say no than to find out that the answer is yes. So give them a call if you're unsure. Reminder for garage sales. Everyone finds something in their house and want to get rid of it. You do need a permit. It's $10. It gives you 2 consecutive days to have that garage sale, but you do need the permit. The last thing, as always, Mr. Altman reminded me today, property maintenance. And yes, I should have mentioned it.
Was that
The townwide garage sale.
Was that for your property, Councilman, that he said that? 'Cause
Yes.
I did walk past your house the
Get a
other day.
little long,
Well, let's get a little long.
A little long.
Don't even get me conversation. Our townwide garage sale is coming up, that we're going to talk about Councilman Ullman, Saturday, the 19th and 20th, Sunday the 20th of October. So you need to be placed on the master list, right? So you have to contact her to do that. Other than that, and my property maintenance,
I'll just tag on to what you just said. You have to get the permits, and you're allowed to say it, but also, have to take the signs down. They're still up from this weekend, and I can't stand seeing that. So if you, to any resident that plans on getting a permit, and by some chance, some miracle decides to watch this video, please, once you put them up, please take them down after the sale.
It's a requirement.
Yes, and it's not, they're still up.
Is there a fine or something?
I believe there is,
Not that
but
we
I didn't want to
fire.
say that without being sure, but I do believe that when you take out the permit for the garage sale, the language is very clear about what you're supposed to do, and I think there might be a fine, but I don't want to say that because I would really have to look at it.
You know what I would like to see, if possible, it's basically after the MYAA model, where you give $50, and I wouldn't say that number, but whatever, you give $50 at the beginning of the year with the MYAA, and if you don't take a day to do the field house, you basically forfeit $50. If you do the field house, your job for the day, you get your money back at the end of the season. So I think when they get the permit, maybe if it's a $5 permit, I imagine.
No, I think it's 10, but I think there's something in the paperwork, and again, I don't want to say it because
No, Roberta, I understand what you're saying. There is, but there's nothing. Wording doesn't change anything. So what
No,
I'm saying,
I know.
maybe make it a $15
But I
permit, you
think,
get $5 back.
right, but I think we did change it to something like that, but again, I'd have to have it in front of me, I haven't looked
Yeah,
at it.
I don't think there's anything
No.
requiring people to put up cash as bond to take down their things, but I think what they should have to do is take them down.
And it's very simple.
Yeah,
At the
bring it
next
back.
meeting,
Bring it back.
we'll introduce that and change the ordinance for garage sales.
Yes.
You're only allowed to have 2 each year.
Yeah, well, that goes by the wayside.
Well, we tried
Listen,
for it
I'm not
not
looking
to.
to interfere with commerce or anything like that. Just
No, you're right. People should take them down. That was,
see various signs on our poles, whether it's, 1-800, call me and I'll buy your house, anything like that, just drives me up a wall, just uglies up our town. Can't stand it. And here are people, having the benefit of being in a lovely town like this, the least they can do is come back and take that sign down, and then bring it back to the borough and get their money back at the bottom. That's something.
I'll put that on my list.
All right. Speaking, I just got done with the police state thing here, so I'm going to go to the commission.
Escrow for garage sales.
Thank you very much. The police received 288 911 calls in August. The Detective Bureau has been assigned 56 new cases and made 5 arrests, 1 for robbery, 2 for illegal dumping, 1 for theft of services, and 1 for prostitution. The K-9 unit, Officer Nichols, is receiving narcotics training from the DEA, no cost to us, and then once that's completed, they'll be able to go out on narcotics investigations. They've also applied for a donated ballistic stab test through vested interest in K-9s. And once K-9 Riker receives his vest, he'll be eligible for the health care grant that pays the monthly cost of his health care. During the month of August, Rebbe was called out 3 times, and Riker was called out 6 times. Rebbe was called out for 3 missing person calls. All those calls were canceled because the parties were located. Riker was brought out for motor vehicle stop assistance and 1 call for watch division, suspect compliance. Traffic division, 441 motor vehicle stops were conducted. 235 moving violations were issued. 13 drivers or occupants were arrested on criminal charges, 4 arrested for active warrants, and 6 for DUIs. And during the month of August, the Patrol Division conducted 4 selective enforcement details focusing on aggressive, distracted driving and speeding. On a different note, the time capsule, I've been speaking with the superintendent of schools, Mr. Jordan, and we've come up with, I think, which is the final plan to fill it and also conceal it. We've decided that in addition to the things we've already collected to put in the time capsule, we're going to ask the students in the schools to write a postcard to themselves of the future. So in 50 years, when this is open, they'll be able to open it and they'll see something that was written by themselves or to somebody, whoever they want to, 50 years in the future. Mr. Jordan was kind enough to state that we would do this, we would actually seal this at an assembly, where he would bring all of the school grades into the assembly, and then have them come up by classroom and put their submissions into the time capsule. So I think that's really a great idea, something that, moves this thing forward. I would certainly invite the council to write postcards to themselves.
50 years?
Or to their children.
I'll be 130.
Yeah.
I think write it to your children or
Come up to their
grandchildren.
grandchildren. But again, even if we want to write it to somebody, maybe our, the people who hold these offices in 50 years,
Yeah,
maybe
that's
some
good.
advice. But again, I offer that, we welcome that. We're telling them they can either buy a postcard that they like, they can use an index card if they don't want a postcard, or they can put it on the back of a picture that's about 3 by 5. So again, you're all invited to do that. Is it any member in the audience or any member in the municipality are invited to do that?
Cool.
I'm sorry, Vern.
No, Council Boland, I just want to say that I do have a few items as a result of the letter that you sent that are in my office. Not many, but interesting. And I think I mentioned Nikki's had given us a Christmas ornament and some other things that say 2019. Not too many other things, but, I think you one day stop by and see those to see if you want to include anything that we've collected. And then the rest of it probably will be filled with things from the students, I would hope.
Most of the things that I've looked at so far have come, we do have some stuff from local business. I spoke to Myron Penn. They're going to be giving us some things, some menus. But the school's going to give us a yearbook, which I think will be a great addition.
That's great.
They're also giving us things that I guess now are relevant, those spinner things that hold between your fingers.
Fidget spinners.
Gloves without the fingertips, which I didn't know those before, but apparently so you can text.
Music. You should do something with
With a squishy
music.
thing on the bottom, which I just learned is to press your phone with. So they actually have prepared quite a number of things.
Richard Spoon. No, okay.
That's the end of our...
That thing, that thing you put by your ear and you talk into.
It's got no cord on it nowadays.
Yuck it up, yuck it up. I'll tell you a story. I thought I discovered that. I'm sitting in the classroom, and I was with Councilwoman Bennett, and I'm watching this person, and they got that squishy thing on the end, and he's doing his phone. And I said, Catherine, you know what that's for? And she looked at me like, just pull out the cake. Hey, listen, I was impressed that I discovered it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Holden.
Thank you, Mayor.
Top that,
I can't, and I won't attempt to, but I will be brief. We have the Green Team meeting coming up this Tuesday. We are having our inaugural Green Fair on November 2nd. We have 7 vendors who, not vendors, exhibitors who have agreed to come thus far. I'm looking to get that number up to 15. Michael Jordan, Mr. Jordan from Board of Ed has been very kind, and the Board of Ed has agreed to issue homework passes for students who attend to encourage them to come. It will be a very educational program that we are putting forth at the Green Fair, so there'll be more to come, and you'll only have to hear about it for 2 more months. Also, the Pool Commission, we had a wonderful, successful year, I think, with the pool. Bit of a dud on Labor Day, that it rained. We're kind of looking that last little dip in the pool, but got a little bit of an early close, so there will be a debriefing meeting coming up at the end of the month. If anybody has any ideas or things they would like to see possibly for next year at the pool, let myself or Roberta know, and we'll bring them to the group. What's that? Great for me, and I'm happy to bring it to the commission. Also, soccer season open. I know I'm not with the rec, but as a coach, I just wanted to acknowledge Gary and DPW team. The soccer fields are in great shape. So thank you. And finally, also not necessarily in the purview of my reporting, a Maywood resident, Pam Django, was selected as Bergen County American Legion Auxiliary President, and that's the first Maywoodian to serve in that role, so I did want to congratulate Pam. I think everybody here knows Pam, and she comes with her mom, former councilwoman Nancy, with poppies around Veterans Day every year in that program. So I did want to acknowledge Pam and congratulate her on the appointment. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Very nice, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Councilman Lindenau.
I do not have a report tonight.
Thank you, sir. Council President Garofalo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, again, our fire department and fire police are volunteer organizations, so definitely continue. I am happy to report that we have 2 new junior firefighters and 1 new full firefighter that will be voting on by resolution tonight, so that's great news. We also have our first, I think, in the history of Maywood, paperless agenda today.
Actually, I hate to tell you.
Is it not?
No, it's not. We actually...
This is the second time in the history of Maywood Mayor and Council.
I think, Roberta, I think there's...
What?
You came here when, 2012 or 11? 12. So in 2013, we did it for that whole year, and my eyes just couldn't get through it. My eyes. So we went to voluntary...
We went to paper again?
Yeah, we went to paper. It was on a voluntary basis, and then everybody...
And then you just went
Yeah.
back to paper. We all regressed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, so the second time, we're gonna
It'll stick this time,
reboot it. I think computers are better now, better graphics, and you have the blue glasses, right? Anyway.
And I got a pen with a squishy thing.
Yeah. Thank you.
You got it.
Wrists, that's all.
I got a bunch of it. Would you like one?
The other things I wanted to talk about, also I went Saturday to the opening of Pleasant Avenue Dental, and use your words, Pleasant Avenue Dental is actually, the dentist is my next door neighbor, 2 doors down, also on our Board of Health, Annetta D'Amico, and it was amazing. And if you haven't been down to the end of Pleasant to look at the new dentist's office, it's clean, it's beautiful, and if you're in the market for a new dentist, Annetta seems fantastic. And if you're in the market for a speech pathologist also, you may go there to use your word. So it was fantastic. Mayor, are you going to talk about 9/11?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can as well.
No, that's okay. You can do that. That is all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, as you just mentioned, that new dentist office and speech therapist office, clean is not the word, and nice is not. It's just, this place is just beautiful, and it's a nice addition to the avenue, to the downtown district. It looks like it's going to be a well-run and they'll probably be very successful. I have a feeling they'll be very successful. They seem to be doing this from day one. They did it right. Everything is just state of the art, and I look forward to never having to go there. I hate the dentist. But if I do have to go, that would be a place that I would go to, definitely. There's a couple scout projects coming down the pike here, and I think they're going to be doing some nice things for the town, these scout projects. Actually, one just finished with the memorial by 9/11. They got it done just in time, I imagine, and hard work. These guys really earn their badges. They earn their Eagle Scout. Superintendent Newman has been working with everybody, and there's one young man that I don't know if he gave you a call yesterday, Roberta. I asked him to, but he needs to meet with the superintendent to discuss around the call what kind of stuff he's going to do. But like I said, it's going to both of the upcoming projects are going to have a positive impact on the town, on the community. School's open, so from the last meeting till now, school is open, and I want to remind everybody, and I know that if the reporter from the out-of-town isn't here, she always watches the video, so she won't get this in the out-of-town. People need to drive like their children are on the road every day. Keep in mind that children are always walking, whether they have after-school activities and they're walking. It's after school. It could be 4 o'clock, it could be 4:30. They could be coming home from the park. There are children on the streets now, and we need to be cognizant of this. Just in Brooklyn today, before I got here, a young 10-year-old boy got run over by a car on the sidewalk. I don't know the details. It looked like the person passed out, so I don't think that's something that was intentional, obviously, or even negligent, but still, there's children on the street. We need to be cognizant of that, and we need to protect them like they're our own children while we are driving. Look after them. 9/11. Tomorrow is, in the morning, we'll be doing our annual memorial service at Memorial Park. It starts at 8:30. The children usually come, and the student council will give from Maywood Avenue School. Will give, usually they read some poems, they give a speech. They always do a nice job, and then all the students from Memorial are in attendance. So it's nice. It's nice to explain to them, let some of them, none of them were alive at that point, but some of them don't even realize the impact. I know I'm sure when everybody was a kid, we heard about Pearl Harbor. It was horrible. That's what you thought, horrible, but you just don't have the idea until somebody actually explains to you who was there or who lived through it. So that's what we always try to impart to these students as they come to the memorial. And then tomorrow night will be the memorial at Betty Fetzer's church across from Queen of Peace. Do we have time on that?
7.
7. Thank you. Okay, so that's they do a nice non-denominational service, and they invite members of clergy from throughout town. Anybody who wants to come is welcome, and I welcome anybody from the community. It's a nice service that Betty puts on there. That being said, tomorrow is the 18th anniversary of 9/11. I can't think of a single person that hasn't affected. This has affected our whole country. Everybody in this room, it's affected in one way or another. So, maybe tomorrow, throughout the day, just try to think back to how we were a pretty solid country at that point, tight-knit country right afterwards. Maybe just for tomorrow, we can remember that time and treat people a little nicer than we do every day. Not that we don't treat people, I'm not accusing them, I'm just saying just in general.
An act
Maybe,
of kindness.
Yeah, just be a little even, and I'm sure everybody here in on this floor in this room right now is a nice person, and maybe even tomorrow be just a little nicer. Go up and above, and maybe compensate for somebody who isn't nice, and maybe they'll see that and spread the word. At least for one day we can do that. So, with that being said, let's continue on. We are at, we have action on this? No. Okay. Resignations. Rita Papajohn submitted a resignation letter from the Green Team for the Borough of Maywood effective August 31st, 2019. Regrettably, is there a motion to accept the resignation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
On roll call, Bennett?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Garofalo?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Request from the Maywood Alumni Initiative for the annual Maywood Hawk 5K Run Walk to be held during the morning of the Fall Festival of 2019. It's October 6th, I believe. Number 2, Maywood Fire Police are requesting the... Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's October 6th, right?
Mhm.
First Sunday of the month. Number 2, Maywood Fire Police are requesting the use of the parking lot at Memorial School during their Sands Casino trip on Saturday, November 2nd, 2019. Number 3, Senior Citizens Club is requesting the use of the pool parking lot during their trip to Montreal and Quebec City, Canada from 7 a.m. on September 23rd, 2019 through 7 p.m. on September 28th, 2019. Number 4, Congressman Gottheimer's office is requesting the opportunity to schedule a mobile office in the Borough of Maywood in the hours of 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the district constituents to meet their local representative. Is there a motion for the approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
With the amendments of number 4.
Yes. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
On roll call, Bennett,
Yes.
Boland,
Yes.
Allman,
Yes.
Lindenau,
Yes.
Garofalo.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now, that, the congressman obviously will be using the,
Conference room.
you couldn't get him in the glass?
Well, I
'Cause that was
think,
what that was envisioned for.
I know, but I think most of them wanted something a little bit, because they'll be here with some of their staff, and then if people come in, I don't know what else he's planning to do. For instance, when the county clerk comes at the end of October,
Yeah.
he's going to be offering passport registration, notary approval, etc. They needed a little bit more room,
Okay.
so
All right.
they haven't given us a date yet from the congressman's office, just a blanket proving that they can do it.
Sounds good. Thank you, Roberta. Resolutions by title.
Okay, Resolution 165-19, resolution authorizing the fee amendment for the special improvement districts. Resolution 166-19, resolution approving Zachary Stelter as a junior firefighter in the Borough of Maywood. Resolution 167-19, resolution appointing Lucas Villanova as a junior firefighter in the Borough of Maywood. Resolution 168-19, resolution appointing Kara Donahue as a full firefighter in the Borough of Maywood. Resolution 169-19, a resolution authorizing the purchase of various shelters needed by the Borough of Maywood for dugouts in Memorial Park. Resolution 170-19, a resolution authorizing the purchase of leaf bags. Resolution 171-19, resolution to appoint Andrew M. Moran to the position of part-time telecommunicator. Resolution 172-19, resolution to appoint Samantha Capoli to the position of part-time telecommunicator. Resolution 173-19, resolution in the Borough of Maywood awarding the contract for the 2019 Gulf Avenue roadway improvement, NJDOT funded, and authorizing the execution of contract. Resolution 174-19, resolution authorizing the request for proposals from Building Performance Institute, also known as BPI, accredited contractors to perform home energy assessments. And Resolution 175-19, resolution approving a lease modification of parking spots in the Borough of Maywood, Bergen County, New Jersey, and that's for PSC&G.
Is there a motion for the adoption of the resolution?
No, ma'am.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
On roll call, Bennett,
Yes.
Boland,
Yes.
Allman,
Yes.
Lindenau,
Yes.
Garofalo.
Yes.
Motion carries.
No, I got nothing.
All right. Introduction of ordinances.
Just wait.
We have ordinance 18-19, an ordinance to adopt revised drug-free zone and drunk driving zone maps in the Borough of Maywood. Ordinance 19-19, an ordinance to adopt park names in the Borough of Maywood and to amend all maps of the Borough of Maywood to reflect same. Ordinance 20-19, an ordinance to amend Chapter 201-7 governing the fees for the Special Improvement District.
Is there a motion for the introduction?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Discussion. I do have discussion, yes. There's a discrepancy between the maps in 1819, the DUI drug-free school zone maps, and the proposed names for the parks in 1919. If you look at the copies of the maps, the Duvier Park actually on here is called Art Fenneman Park, formerly Duvier Park, on the last page. So I don't know when that was done.
When was what was that?
On the last page for the drug-free and drunk driving free
Yeah.
park
Okay.
and municipal facility zones.
Sorry, I'm trying to get there.
Actually, that was Fenneman Park.
Yeah, it's been Veterans Park.
But why then do we want to call it Dubier Park? Or do we call something else Dubier Park?
I don't know where that came from. I don't know who prepared that, so it's always
I guess
been
That's the
tentative.
end of the, that's the end of the schedule.
That's also what it's listed as on Google Maps, the Dubier Park.
Right, because it does say formally Dubier Park on this.
I think, you know why? I think, I'm guessing, but I think we're in, well, I'm educated guessing, I think we're in the same situation where it was dedicated, but it wasn't officially adopted and it wasn't changed in our ordinance. Again, I think Fenimore was one, the sign says Fenimore up there.
It
as well.
did.
It did when it was up, but I mean, that was probably something that we just,
Well, I don't know, Greg, what do you think? I mean,
that was something that we just didn't catch.
The map, if I may agree, you would update the maps. The
Yeah.
question I think is for the council to pick it in.
No, it's Fenimore, it's been Fenimore, but that our Fenimore was dedicated.
that's, Mayor Murphy always said that was...
That's.
So then we should amend
We should amend.
ordinance 1919 to, instead of Dubier Park at the senior center, that should say Fenimore Park?
We didn't catch that one in this go around, that's probably should have.
So I'd like to
Yes,
make a motion to amend ordinance 1919.
Well, before you do that,
Okay?
so you do one motion. It was very
Okay,
short.
we'll do more, yeah, I have more. But wait, there's more. So, that was one of the things that I noticed. In addition, a former mayor of Maywood passed in the past year. Jim Panos was a mayor in town, was involved in Boys Club, which is the predecessor to MYAA, was involved in, was a firefighter in town, involved in just about everything.
On the planning board?
On the planning board, yeah. So I'm not sure what else there is. I mean, it looks like field number 2 at Memorial Park doesn't have a name. I did reach out to Mr. Panos' son, and he basically initially said Centennial Park, but that has been dedicated because Mr. Panos' other son actually did an Eagle Scout project at Centennial Park to improve it, probably going on 20 years ago, right?
Not more?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's Fred Seaver's part.
right.
Yeah.
And we obviously aren't going to change that, so.
I think, I know we had this discussion earlier today, I think some of the...
Well, do we want to just table this until we get it straightened out, so there's no confusion?
No, Roberto, I think what the council president is asking is if there's a park, and correct me if I'm wrong, if there's a park or something of significance that we can name after...
Well, here's what, my question is, I never knew that Field 1 was Knickerbocker. So is there any reason why that can't be Panos?
Right, and what is Knickerbocker? What is
That's
the
what I'm saying.
significance of
Is that a
Knickerbocker?
person Knickerbocker? My question would be, is that a person Knickerbocker or just a general view?
Field 1 is Big Diamond, I think. That's-
On the wall, maybe?
Oh, is Field 1 the Big Diamond?
Wait, you're talking about Field 2 or Field...
No, it says Field 1 at
What?
Memorial
Where am I
Park.
right here?
I got to order this.
We're in Memorial Park.
I never heard that being called anything.
Yeah.
All right, so Field 1
Is Knickerbocker.
all right, so that would be Big Diamond. That's Big Diamond. No, it's the Big Diamond.
That's the big diamond.
But I know, so why are we calling it Knickerbocker is the point.
Yeah, but it's I'm sorry, Bert?
Then I think if we're naming things that everybody knows is something, then Field 1, if it is in fact the Big Diamond, should be called the Big Diamond and not Knickerbocker Field, because I've never heard of it being referred to as Knickerbocker.
Or the big diamond at Knickerbocker Field?
Yeah.
Or Big Diamond at Panos Field,
Well,
because I don't know any other park that's missing a name.
Well, then
And
I guess-
I appreciate, and I know former Mayor Panos, but, I mean, this could always be, this ordinance could always be amended when we find the right thing to do, rather than rushing to find something to include it. There's no
Right.
reason why we can't.
Yeah, and I also just, how did we, do we have, we are supposed to be amending, this says to wish to update the official maps of the Borough of Maywood. There is no attachment with an official map. Do we have an official map?
Yeah, the official map that was usually taxes.
Does that have the names of the parks on it?
No, on the tax map where it says Borough, Maywood.
Exempt.
But usually it's gonna have.
Brian, if you talk that way, it's not going on the...
He might not be trying to get on there.
On the page.
In that case...
Right. I would look at it, and I think the minutes have an indication which parts will work.
Well, it's, I mean, we have...
No, we're not gonna, I don't think we should table because we're actually introducing an ordinance, but we can amend this. This is already, we can absolutely amend this.
If we amend it, we would have to reintroduce it.
Well, this could be amended.
Why don't we just table it until the next meeting, and then we'll introduce it with the updated parts.
I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
There's, just curiosity, we don't have, do we have the missing? Where's the shoulder? We don't see that on here. And I don't-
The West Fairmont Avenue Park?
No, that's
Field?
the other one, but I don't see that on here either.
We didn't have the...
Okay.
Perfect
Okay.
idea.
What?
The pavilion. That should be the Panos
Panos
Pavilion.
Wow, Gary thought of that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Gary's not going to take any credit for it.
I think
That's
that's
actually
wonderful.
brilliant.
It really is.
That's actually brilliant.
And it's used for so many different things. You know, I think that's wonderful. Good going. But I still don't know why Knickerbocker is field number one. I still want that to be the big diamond, that's what everybody calls it. So maybe we could find out, I don't know where this...
Someone is either a basketball fan or that has some other,
Well, I don't know where Knickerbocker came from. Did you find Knickerbocker? Well, who put this in
Okay,
here?
well, listen, let's,
So,
we're gonna
can
amend that
I...
right now. We can amend the ordinance. Or,
I don't, because we have a lot of amendments to make, so we would be amending Dubier Park to, what is it?
Denman.
Fenneman Park. We would be amending to add Panos Pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
yep.
And then, we have a question about Knickerbocker Field.
I do.
Do we know, does anyone know the origin of Knickerbocker Field? And why?
Eddie Fetzer?
Yes, Eddie.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
might have to, should we strike Knickerbocker Field from
Yes.
this ordinance?
Yep.
So my motion is to remove Knickerbocker Field and field number 1 at Memorial Park from the first line, to add Panos Pavilion with the location of the pavilion at Memorial Park, and to change Duvier Park to Art Finneman Park?
Or something. To be totally correct, it's James, is there a middle initial up there? Can you see that?
Oh, right, we should probably have it in there.
Jay.
James J. Panos. Okay. James J. Panos Memorial Pavilion, or just James J. Panos Pavilion? Pavilion?
Pavilion.
Okay, James J. Panos Pavilion.
I love that.
And then what was, okay, so we have that, we have the orthos.
So,
To be clear, we're not having anything for field number 1.
it would just be field number 1 at Memorial Park.
Sorting out the Knickerbocker origin.
So there's a motion to amend the ordinance.
Yeah, so it's a Arthur Fenneman, I don't know what.
Is there a second? Sorry.
Well, let's just get into the wording. So it will be, we have the Panos one, and then it's Arthur Fenneman. I don't know his middle initial, so if there is a middle initial, let's just say we're going to put it in. If there isn't, we won't have to worry about that. And
Is there any reason why field number 1 can't be the Big Diamond? Since that's
let's strike it, and we'll do some research because whoever shouted out, asked Betty Fetzer, that was a good idea.
Oh, right.
Because Betty Fetzer will have the history of that, and that would be the reason I'm doing it.
Logical
Yeah,
person
because if we do something that we
No, that's
shouldn't-
fine, because we have another field to name.
Yeah. Those are the park.
We have multiple fields, the community garden too.
We have ward, the park on ward. Doesn't have a name, so.
No, only because it's so,
That's all right, doesn't have a name. Okay, with those amendments, where are we?
introducing it.
Yes, so we had a motion, we had a second, and then there was an amendment, so is there a motion to adopt it with those amendments?
Yes. Motion to adopt.
Roll call.
On roll call, Bennett,
Yes.
Boland,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Lindenau,
Yes.
Garafalo.
Yes.
Motion carries. Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood that ordinance 18-19, 19-19, and 20-19 pass on first reading, and that said ordinance will be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the Mayor and Council to be held on October 8, 2019, at 7:30 p.m. at Borough Hall, 15 Park Avenue, Maywood, New Jersey, in which time and place all persons interested therein will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same, and that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to advertise the same according to law.
Okay, so tomorrow night we can ask Betty, whoever's there will.
Let's call it tomorrow.
Okay, is there any new business? No new business? Okay. We have old business, which is, Greg is now, well, it's probably good that you are now. Proposal submitted by Nedley Engineering to conduct a traffic study for Spring Valley Corridor at Paramus to Hackensack, 0.87 miles, Briarcliff Avenue to Colesbrook, and Borough of Maywood. Okay. So,
Oh,
yes?
I'm sorry. There was one thing that we talked about earlier, and I forgot to bring it up during my report.
Can I deal with the old business? With this one?
Well, it's new business, I'm sorry.
Okay, but let's just deal
Okay.
with this and we'll deal with you in 1 second.
Okay.
So, it doesn't have anything to do with this, right? This one? Okay. Are we okay with going ahead with that study?
I don't,
I thought it was announced.
yeah, I don't know if we want to move this to the next meeting as well on the 24th, and discuss it a little bit more.
That's fine.
Wouldn't it be best to talk to
We need to talk to the police,
the
talk to
department?
Paramus, talk to,
Get that.
I'm going to email,
Decision.
Well, okay, I guess my question
Hackensack.
is, let's say the police say, we can't do, we can't do the live study, quote-unquote live study, we can't do it in real time. Where are we with it then? Do we still want to do this, or we don't want to do it, we can't do it that way?
I mean, I think it would give us good information, I think the idea is we want to slow cars down and make it more safe for pedestrians and bicyclists, that's the idea. And so, if Greg feels that the study would give us that information, then I could be swayed.
The study will give you the information to make a decision. And then we could help you make a decision, and then you ultimately would make the decision as it relates to whether or not it would work. I'm not saying that we would perform the study and it's a definite that it would work. You may have to evaluate and determine would the shifting of the traffic be acceptable to you? Would the less capacity on Spring Valley be acceptable to you? And then ultimately weigh that out as it relates to it.
Yeah, we're just getting data, and we have to evaluate,
Right.
and make a decision
Right,
based
can I
on
ask a question
Sure,
about
sure.
when you run the model?
Mhm.
Are we running models that then do not have the proposed bike lanes and just the 3 lanes with the center turning lane, and then we'd also run with including bike lanes?
Mhm.
That part of what you're running?
Yeah, we could run it both ways. I mean, that we have the ability to do both.
So once you get all the data from the engineer that's studying it, from the person that's on the corner for that week or so, once you get that data, you input it into any model that you choose.
Correct.
And you could, for instance, you could say, you know, the whole thing's going to be walking in only one lane.
Yeah, we could
create any kind of model.
we could create it where it turns into a one-way roadway with two lanes. We could create whatever where we wanted to. I mean, that's not to say we would, but we could model it. We could model it. Yeah.
Just personally, and I think that was the way some other members of the council felt, is that we hold off on this until we have a little bit more information before we authorize a study for $23,000. If no one else comes forward.
I guess my question was just, Roberta, what I was asking was, if the chief, the traffic department says we can't do a live one, meaning we can't put up the cones, we can't, or that's not safe, for whatever reason they say that. My question was, do we still want to go forward with it, or is the only real information we were looking to see was live time? That's what I was, the only reason why I want to give Greg some kind of idea.
I think it's worth, $23,000 is worth what could be saved if we do this right, and if we get it right.
Okay, well, we need to get some information anyway, so we'll have an answer one way or another at the next meeting, but I just wanted to get a kind of a feel, because, if the chief comes back and says that that's not doable the way we discussed, we don't even have to bring it up at the next meeting if we weren't going to do it at that point. But since there's still an opportunity that we might do it anyway, we'll discuss it next meeting. Sounds good?
Yeah, I mean, the program you're talking about, that's the gold standard for...
Definitely. If you listen to any traffic engineer present a traffic study before your planning board, a governing body, that is the program that's utilized.
I think it's more
Unfortunately...
Hackensack and parameters than necessarily doing the live studies. I don't think that's going to be... When there's a new traffic pattern and a new stop sign, you'll give people a week or whatever with the cone in the middle of the road with a stop sign. Something new and different. I don't think it's going to really be a real...
That's your point.
Real, like...
They're more shocked as opposed to...
You look at that stop sign, the new one...
Unpopular
until they knew it was there. People coming on Spring Valley for the first time, all of a sudden, see cones everywhere, are going to trip out. I mean, that's probably not going to...
I like that.
It's not going to...
Go right to they see those codes, it's back to the...
They're not going to be in like a swirl pattern.
Have a gold standard for the study, I think.
They're going to be straight lines, Ryan.
Yeah, but I mean, if you came upon a road and there's hundreds of cones out there, you wouldn't think something different?
Well, that's an interesting point, too. And listen, I understand what you were trying to get at. That would be, what would be optimum, and this isn't doable, but what would be optimum is you just lift up whatever paint's on the road, put the new paint on, and that's optimum. So you're actually not getting real information. You're not getting the real information with those cones. You're not getting people's real reaction. You're getting a delayed reaction, whereas if it was there for, like what I was saying, if it was there for a month or so, and then you did the study because people were used to it, you're going to put those cones up, and you're not going to put them up until you're watching it. So you're really not going to get a real-life study. I mean, I'm sure you could still extrapolate some information from that and maybe add a zero here or subtract a zero there and get some kind. You guys are magicians with that stuff.
No,
but I think it's a real-life situation because you're seeing it real time, but it's not. It's not real. It's not what really would be happening.
Even if you strike that, there takes some time for people to get accustomed to it. It would just take some. It takes time, and then it would work its way out, and then turn itself into the model per se. But real world data is always better than a model. Always is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's again. We have our Roberta. We have to get in touch with the chief. We have to get in touch with Darrell, and we have to work it out for us, and hopefully we get some positive feedback from them on this. See where we go at the next meeting. Because to your point, 23,000, but if it saves one life, there's no price on that.
Mhm.
I wasn't evaluating that way. I'm
No,
just
I know
saying,
you
I thought we
weren't. I
need
know you
more
weren't.
information just to
I was
be comfortable. No, I'm-
piggybacking on Council President said. All right. Roberta? you
yes,
said-
I've been staring at this all night, and I kept forgetting about it because we got up on so many different things. Public service, excuse me, has an initiative because of the Governor Murphy's foresight about saving energy, setting new, bold environmental goals, and so PSE&G has a program that they are proposing for LED streetlights. They would be installing them at no cost to the borough, but we would, at the same time, save approximately 5%. They're not giving any specific number, but they're saying a minimum of 5% that we would save on our street lighting bill. So what they're looking for is the support of the towns in New Jersey. They don't need a letter of support, they don't need anything else other than a statement or an email that would come from either Barbara or myself stating that Maywood would in fact, and I had handed these out, Mayor, before you came, some of the council members got it, others didn't, so they might have come a little bit after I handed it out, whether or not they could include Maywood as one of the towns that are supporting this.
I have, and it might be that information, some questions with that. Sounds like a no-brainer, but the replacement, they will be replacing the bulbs as the
The
lights.
copper lights would be gone.
No, I'm sorry. As these things in the future die out.
No.
They are replacing the,
It wasn't as they die out, it's a program. As soon as they get the support and it's approved,
I'm sorry.
they're all of the
I'm not being clear.
streetlights.
I'm not being clear.
Okay.
When the new ones are replaced,
Oh, that isn't,
and...
that wasn't answered
Okay.
because they
They're
expect
obviously more
those
expensive
to,
than the other ones, so...
right, to replace.
Yeah.
That is a question that I'm going to answer to. I wasn't thinking that way because I figured LEDs could last 10 or 20 years, and they pay for themselves
Well,
with the
and that's
5%
a-
by that time.
LEDs that are on, several hours a day.
Sure.
The LEDs that are on 12 hours a day, they it's going to have a much
I mean,
shorter
just
life.
personally,
Yeah.
I have LED lights on my lights around the house, and I have saved a tremendous amount of money because they are on all night.
Well, then, okay, then I guess whatever, if we even...
I want to find out about the replacement.
Saving would still be cheaper. The other question is, light pollution. What does that do? Does the light that's in front of my house right now, if that were changed to LED, does that have any greater impact of light coming into my window than what it already does right now?
I would say just from experience, probably not, but I'm happy to ask that question.
Please, yeah. I mean, are they planning on making them lower wattage or?
I don't think that they want to diminish the amount of light, because then it's a safety issue, and then we would get the same kind of calls that we get from people about there's no light on my street. But I think it's another question that needs an answer.
I think there's another part of that we really would like to have answered. So, I mean, every light has it's called a heat index or intensity. So if we get too high, like a 5,000 K, it looks almost like neon. It's like super bright.
Yeah.
But a warmer light's 3,500 gray, something like that. So I'd like to know what they're going to put up, because especially with LEDs, very easy to wind up having the whole town look like a neon.
Right. I don't think that's the intent, but I'm happy to check that. I mean, as I said, it's...
Yeah, I think
I know I'm losing my voice, I'm sorry.
I don't think any of us would have a problem saying, yes,
Yeah,
they have...
just get
or-
those
but we want
questions.
those- We just want apples to apples.
Yeah,
Just wanna
definitely.
make sure
I will get all those answers and hopefully have them for our next meeting.
Cool. We don't have to do a resolution or anything? Do that by resolution?
No,
Did you
they're
sign
just
a phone call
asking,
from you or
right,
not?
they're just asking for a yes or a no that the town would be in favor of it if it happens. That's all they want. They didn't want a letter, they didn't want anything else, just a simple, yeah, because if you read this, I guess they're going to attach the names of towns supporting it
Yeah.
to this document, and that's all they were asking for.
So basically, we're going to see a 5% savings on the lights, and they're going to see the rest of the savings on the lights on their end. They're going to give us basically a 5%, I guess, a rebate or
No,
a reduction in cost.
In other words, the LED lighting costs less to run,
Yeah.
so that's where we would see the
No, I
5%.
understand, but it's interesting that they pick 5% as opposed to any other number. So if it's 20%, are they going to get 15%? Not that I care.
No, I think
5% less on-
if you read this, it says the proposal could save approximately. They didn't feel that it was fair to give a specific because they don't know.
Yeah.
It's that simple. It's kind of an unknown to them. They came up with that number, I suppose, not out of thin air. They must have had some way of,
Yeah.
some reason.
Just when a big company, a giant company like PSE&G decides to spend money, there's usually a reason, and it's not generally for the good of the environment. It's usually
Well,
money reasons.
listen,
And I have no problem with them
if they're
making 20%.
if they're trying to say that because Governor Murphy has this new initiative for New Jersey being more environmentally friendly, that's a great way to put it, and they'll get the support of the governor's office.
And if it wasn't saving them one red cent, they would say, nice, see what else we can do.
But when you think about it, a lot of the lights that we have are older lights.
Yeah.
So obviously, we would be getting all new lights to a better standard. Whether or not what they feel the age would be before replacement and what that price would be to replace them is one issue, and whether or not the brightness or the luminance would be any different than what we're getting from a copper light now would be the second one.
Yeah.
And as soon as we get those answers, nobody says you have to,
No, this is not something I just...
No.
We're going to support something. People are going to see our name on the bottom of the paper that's going to every other town. I want to know that we're
Sure.
supporting it correctly, and then we don't see on the news in
All
2 weeks...
what I
that,
can
hey,
say
I'm
is,
paying.
when we have asked previous,
Maywood wanted to-
no,
yeah.
but when we have asked previously to get LED light replacements, it's been very expensive, and we didn't go that way. So when this came forward that they're doing it,
Yeah, which is why I'm saying there's gotten something in it, but and again, I don't have a problem if there's something in it for them, I'd like to know.
sure,
They- large companies like that don't expect
they want a
that kind of
gold
money.
star from Governor Murphy's office
Yeah,
that they're
I don't think that's-
going along with this
They'll
initiative.
just wait another 2 years until he's done.
There might be state grant money attached to this, that's what I'm thinking.
I will let you
State
know.
grant money attached
I will let you know by email, so when I get the answers to this, so I'll just send an email to everybody with the answers.
In respect to PSE&G,
free empty light.
I don't need to question their altruism, I just have a feeling that there's something behind the curtain. All
It
right.
usually is.
But, saves us money, I'm all for it. All right, that was it for new business, Roberta?
Yes.
Anybody else, think of anything else that they had for you, and just remember right now, and let's bring it up again since we're revisiting it.
New business. So Betty, did folks read Betty's letter? That she...
I didn't actually get a copy of it, so I didn't
Yeah.
read it.
And the town bus. There's actually full of great ideas. I just don't know, because I think the bus is specifically a senior bus. Is that correct, Roberta?
Yes.
So doing something like driving people to the polls on Election Day, or what were her other ideas? Those would be kind of out
I
I think she meant for the seniors.
for the seniors.
For the seniors.
Well,
So could we use the bus for things like that, for bringing people to National Night Out, bringing people to 4th of July celebrations, including the fireworks?
I think anything like that is something worthy of talking about, doable. I think when you get into political, anything but, I don't think anything but the polls, anything but that.
Why?
well,
Election Day?
Yeah,
You don't want people to vote?
I do, but at this point, listen, everything here is amicable between all of us. We have no issues. I envision a time, there could be a time where there's animosity between, I've seen it, where between two parties, and the party in control now didn't send the bus, or it was late, and it's their fault, and I didn't get the vote because you didn't send it, and you're the party in control, and I write a letter to the outer town, and it was just a mistake, because the guy couldn't come in that day. Or,
I just want a bus to take people to the polls.
You run into an issue with that. But other than that, I think the other stuff, absolutely.
but there's only one other thing.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, the current bus is seniors only because that's how we got the bus. The new bus that we'll be buying once we're going out to bid shortly, because it is being purchased with bond money, I don't think we have the same restrictions. I think that we have to set them, one, because I don't think the bus is going to have seat belts. I still don't think it's a bus for children. I think that we should dedicate it to seniors, frankly, but I think it'll be up to this council to do that.
But they don't need seatbelts or...
No, but because the buses for children require them. The buses for seniors don't require them. It's by law that buses for children must have seatbelts today.
Seniors not required.
Hey, you want seatbelts in the bus? Great. All I'm saying is, I think that the council has to decide what the use of this bus is, and then you also have to decide if you want to hire a full-time bus driver.
All right, listen, that's all fine, we can discuss that.
Right.
I want seatbelts on this bus. Is it that much more money for seatbelts?
I don't know. I didn't look at the specs. I don't know if this one comes with seatbelts or not.
No.
Did you see the...
Seatbelts are additional.
Yeah.
The bus does not come with seatbelts.
Okay,
Everything's
number?
Everything is a la carte. It's a small amount of money on the big picture.
Only for children, seriously.
Well, let's get seatbelts. Put that in the specs.
Well, we'll add that to the specs.
I know there's waist belts, I know that. No, those bench seats can't have that. I don't think.
No, they're part of
Did you?
Well,
All right,
it's a separate issue. The point is, you have to decide, seatbelts or no seatbelts, is this bus going to be a multi-use bus, or is it going to continue to be a senior bus?
I think it should be a multi-use bus, but listen, that's just one person.
Then the other part of that would be hiring someone that is just a bus driver so that that bus is available for all these things rather than pulling somebody from another position to drive the bus, because then it leaves us short someplace else. So, as I said, it's just something else to think about. We know we're getting a bus, the specs are being prepared, we'll go out to bid, but then I think it's up to the council to decide the use of that bus. That's all.
Good point. But seatbelts, definitely,
Okay.
without a doubt.
Add it to the specs.
Okay. That was Matt, anything else?
No, nothing for new business.
Okay. And we already did all...
I know.
So we're basically, we have closed session right now.
We do, yeah.
Yes.
All right, and we're good with, we're good now, going to close, ready to...
Did we do old business, or did I miss
We did
that?
old, but do you have old, you more old?
The charging station, did you do any more research into the charging station and the cost?
The gentleman and I who gave me the original proposal have been trading phone calls.
Okay.
And so maybe if you'd like to, if you're in town and you'd like to meet, be
So
part of that.
do we have an
Remember the
idea-
numbers, that number chart? We were
Yes.
trying.
Can you bring that to the next meeting?
I will, but he's still trying to send it to me as something that's easier to read.
Oh,
That was one of the problems.
okay. That's all.
Okay. All right, you have closed session for the purpose of litigation and personnel.
Whereas-
Go to close.
Second.
Whereas the Open Public Meeting Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, whereas the governing body wishes to discuss litigation and personnel, minutes will be kept in which the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires that confidentiality, then minutes can be made public. Now therefore be resolved by the public, that the public be excluded from this meeting, and be it further resolved, the mayor and council of the Borough of Maywood do not envision that they will return to open session after the closed session, but reserve the right to do so.
All right, now is there a motion to close? Motion to close. Second.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?